Hey guys, welcome back to the Woddoc Project365, episode 133. Today we're getting into slap tear rehab part 2. And yesterday, if you guys remember, I talked about what the mechanism of slap tears were and basically what happens when we get a slap tear. And the rehab for slap tears, the rehab for anybody that will have anterior laxity or anterior stability into the shoulder. What that means, if I go sideways, just a little recap, if I get some type of instability this way, in this direction, that the force, the vector, the shoulder literally wants to slide forward, wants to pop out of the socket forward. So what happens then is the posterior cuff says, whoa, I need to hang on so my shoulder doesn't fall forward, doesn't dislocate, so it kind of sucks it back in. So these tissues then become very tight or hypertonic. Now you hold any tissue in a tight position for a long period of time, you start to get pain. Painful tight tissues are weak tissues. They don't turn on. We know that because we gave the example of if I hit myself in the arm and tried to do bicep curls, I would actually lose strength. Right? So here's what goes on. We talked yesterday about the first thing that we're going to do is muscle mash or prepare the tissue for some type of activation activity, and then afterwards we were going to mobilize it just to leave it in a good spot. So some of the stuff that we did was overhead. Okay, so what happens if overhead movements cause you pain? Well, in this case, we don't want to do them, not until the beginning. So what we're going to do is we're going to peel back that exercise, regress ourselves back to a safer position for the shoulder, a less invasive position for the shoulder, and do basically the same steps. So I got myself here. The first step is still mobilization or muscle mashing, right? We want to prepare the tissue. So I'm still going to try to get onto that lateral aspect of the scapula there. So I want to be able to get that whole area because we got that whole posterior cuff area where all those muscles attach. So basically the broad portion of where the shoulder blade is, and then the outside portion kind of where the lat kind of comes down. So what I'm going to do here, difference is from today, I'm not going to have my arm up over my head because that's a position that bothers me. So I'm going to keep my arm down across myself. I'm still going to try to do the same thing. So I take this ball here, or this mobility tool, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to put myself in a 45-degree position, except now my arm is across my body, right? And I can still get in to those same tissues that might be hard for you to see, right? But basically 45-degree angle, get the mobility tool on that outer border of the scapula, and we're just going to work all the way up, all the way down, all the way up, all the way down, right? I can do that for 2 to 4 minutes preparing that tissue. Once I do that, now I'm going to go into my stretch, or my activation. This is going to be what they call a modified Bruger. Now, the actual activity is going to look like this. I'm going to be a seated position. One of the first thing I want to think about is I want to take any type, it could be a mobility band, anything you want, right? We're going to keep ourselves palms up, thumbs out, okay? And the first thing I'm going to do is I roll my shoulders back and down, like I'm going to push my elbows into my back pockets, okay? So that's the position, that nice army tall position that I'm going to do. And then all I want to do is I want to squeeze my shoulder blades together and allow that band to come out. So it's not this, right? This is a bad position, right? And it's not this, which is what we tend to see, okay? It's shoulders back and down, lock them down, squeezing the shoulder blades together. And as I squeeze the shoulder blades together, activate there, I just come out just enough to get that posterior cuff activation. You'll notice that my shoulders almost drop down rather than come up, okay? Most people can't do that. So what we do is we implement 2 balls. They're on the same side. You can sit on a box. It doesn't really matter. But now what we're going to do, we're going to add a step to this, okay? We're going to push our elbows down. It's the reverse of a shrug. So this would be a shrug. This is like the anti-shrug, right? So push down, elbows down. Now we're going to squeeze. Everything else comes the same. I'll show it to you from the back end. So you'll be able to notice, because I have like these little winging scapula, that they stick out. They're really far apart, right? So I get my shoulders back, press down, right? And now as my shoulder blades squeeze together, it's a little motion, right? My thumbs stay up, okay, straight out. My palms stay up, and my thumbs stay outward. I'm going to hold that for 3 to 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and relax. And I'm going to reset. I'm going to do everything exactly the same. Shoulders come back and down. I'm going to press them down into the ball, squeeze my shoulder blades together. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The idea is to use these activation drills, right, and try to collect about 15 reps with the 5-second static hold. Boom, okay? Last part, so we already muscle mashed, we prepared the tissue, right? Then we did a stability drill with our shoulder in a more neutralized position, less invasive, not as intrusive as an overhead position. Finally, what we're going to do is we're going to mobilize the tissue, whichever shoulder that one is, right? When we do that, we're going to go into a sleeper stretch. Sleeper stretch allows me to, again, keep my elbow below my shoulder so we know that it's a more flexed position, not as abducted, not as intrusive to the arm. So I'm just going to put myself on a sideline, but I'm again at about a 30 to 45 degree angle because my shoulder blade is laying flat onto the table, okay? Not my body. From right there, I just kind of let it get to wherever it is, find that area of tension. I'm just going to press up into my hand. I'm going to activate using contract, relax, reflex, right? So I go ahead and push up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Hold for a count of 10. The goal would be to collect about another 8 to 10 reps with that and then call it a day. So we have a 3-step process, not over our head, not under our head. Now, here's the other question is what happens if we were fine with the overhead stuff, right? Well, that's great. We're just going to add this to it. If our shoulder wasn't burnt out from doing the overhead stuff that we showed yesterday, that middle of the line type activity, well, now we're going to add this as well. We have some activation with our shoulders or with our hands below shoulder level, and we have some activation with our hands above shoulder level, okay? So guys, bring those home, add that to your repertoire, and until tomorrow, we're optimizing function to optimize performance.